I'm Kaushalya. I'm also like you. I have a lot of questions and doubts in in regards of how to start PMP certification, what are the eligibilities, how to get enrolled, and how can I do a preparation, whether I have to go to institute or can I do it by myself, how long time I should give to do the preparations, and what where can I get all the training materials, all those details. So this a coffee chat is basically to get the basic details and the questions which we have to get clarified regarding the preparation for PMP certification. And I really thank Lakshman for giving your time under your busy schedule, giving your time to uh, brief ourselves what are the requirements, all those details. Recently, Lex has completed his PMP certification and he got the target score above the target score in all three, which is people, process, and the environment. It's a good thing. So we are just inside, and I just seen a lot of your posts regarding how to prepare for the PMP preparations and all. So I thought that having a coffee chat with you would help me and all others to get insight about all the preparations. So I just thank once again, Lex, for your time. And can we, the platform you see us, you can just start.
Yes, so thank you so much, first of all, for inviting this, and thank you, Kaushalya, for being proactive. That you approached me for a coffee chat. Then, we discussed that why don't we extend this invite to a lot more, aspirants who wants to do PMP. Okay, just quick briefing about me and Jan. Jan is also in the call. He's going to be in value addition for this call. We both work for PAX as well as a career development center at UCW. What we both have almost a decade plus experience in project management. So I'm specialized in IT, EdTech, logistic, and supply chain, wherein Jan is primarily into construction project management. So with our experience, we thought we will share how you guys have to approach this exam. What do you guys have to do, prepare, and all that? That's what we're going to talk in this call. And additionally, Jan is a representative from the UCW and PMI partnership. I don't know how many of you are aware of that. That UCW is partnering with PMI to get the aspirants doing PMP and CAPM, and Jan is playing a very crucial role there. He is part of a mentorship program, building the bridge from CDC. And there are a lot more is in the pipeline that which CDC is planning to do for project management professionals. We're going to build a pipeline and funnel for project management stream, not just on certification. There are a lot of aspirations coming on the way. We want to support them on internship, volunteer, get started with project management domain. All that is something CDC is working on. They are very serious about it. I'm sure a lot more is going to come in the coming quarters. But yeah, with that, the floor is open. I think Kaushalya can ask the initial questions that we have gathered few questions. So we can go through them first, and then you can raise your hands. We can answer one by one, guys. Okay. So interest of time, I'm not going to ask everybody's introduction, so please don't mind. I know all of you by name. You catch hold of me in campus, and a lot of people I already know personally. For that matter, Simon I know personally. Dhanush I know from TSA, if I'm not wrong. Dhanush you're from TSA, part of TSA, yeah. So Kailash, I don't know if how many of you know here. Kailash is our alumni who currently works for EY. Who's also here, which is very privileged to have you here, Kailash. Thank you so much for joining. And
Of course, thank you
this
for
is the
having
power
me.
of networking, guys. Yeah. So I know Tarun personally. So there are a lot of known faces here, but I'm not going to get into each one of you knowing them personally, but I'm sure we will know during the time. Okay. Cool. Over to you, Kaushalya. Let's start the session. You're on mute, Kaushalya. Sorry, we don't hear you. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Let's start
Go
with the
ahead.
requirement. Like, if I want to start preparation for PMP, what is there any eligibility requirement is there, or like anyone can get enrolled for it?
Okay. So there is a eligibility criteria for PMP exam, right? So what PMP examination says is you have to have a 3 years experience to apply for PMP, right? That is 36 months of project management experience. When I say project management experience, it need not to be you have to be a project manager on paper to display this 3 years of experience. The experience can be you're part of a project. You would have played in software development case. You would have been a tester. You would have been a developer. You would have been anybody who worked in a project. You are a part of a project. That's the experience they are looking at. Not really a project management on
Okay.
paper. So that's the minimum, criteria. And you have a bachelor's degree, and then you have to go through a 35 hours of project management education training, which will give you 35 PDUs to apply for the exam. So how to get this? There are so many ways to get it. For that matter, I don't know how many of you know that UCW offers that program to get that 35 PDUs, a training program, and they prep you for the PMP, which is roughly costing about 1600 if I'm not wrong. They do a classroom program, in-person classroom
Okay.
program. There are so many online recorded sessions like Udemy, Coursera. They sell courses. If you go through the recorded, and at the end of the recording, you will get the badge, and that badge is again qualified because they are also certified partners for PMI to train for the PMP exam. And the third option would be there are institutions like Knowledge Herd, Star Agile. There are so many institutes out there who can teach you online and offline format of these classes. Right? It choice is yours, but these are the basic requirements.
Okay, you have mentioned that we should have, it's not necessary that you should have in a project management background, but you should have worked in areas where you handled some projects. Is there any documents required to be submitted to get enrolled, or how we can prove that we had a experience in project?
That's a good question. So you have to write an SOP for justifying your case as a 3 year working professional associated in a role, how you contributed to the project on all the 5 cycles of projects, starting from initiation to the closing, how was the role transformed. And then you need to specifically mention about your contribution to the project on the SOP. Now, what happens is they go by your SOP. They don't ask you any more details apart from this SOP and the 35 hours training PDU certificate. That's only two things that you have to have it when you're applying. Having said that, there could be chances it might go for audit. So they don't audit all the 100 applications. They might choose to audit, say, 30-40% of applications. If you get into a situation that your application is under scrutiny, then the next step is if they will ask you for reference. When I say reference, the company that you have mentioned about where you had that project management team experience. It's not that if you worked as a project manager, well and good. If not, the project that you are associated and you played a role in that project, you need to give somebody's reference that who can vouch for you. So there is an email will go to them, and that should be a business ID. So basically, you cannot give their personal ID. It has to be a
Okay.
business ID. For example, if I work for a company called Zeta.tech, if I'm referring somebody, that person email ID should be x@zeta.tech. That should be
Okay.
he could be your colleague, he could be your a team leader, he could be anybody. He could be a HR who can vouch, yes, this person has worked in this company and whatever he stated in the SOP is true. Okay, that's the only thing expectation
Okay.
on the audit. And as I said, not all the 100 cases will go for audit. In my case, it did not go for audit, but I helped a person on an SOP. That person got an audit, and she gave a reference, and it went through. But mostly, it will go through.
Okay. So the first step, we have registered and our registration is got through. Now I have to start the preparation for the exams. So how can I do the preparation? Is it mandatory that I should go to some institute, get it prepared, or is there any way that I can prepare by myself uh,
Okay,
through some
it
online
depends, right?
sources?
Yeah, it is depends. Like it's completely depends on individual to individual. I can tell you with my personal experience how I look at it or my perspective is. So if you really worked on a project management, okay, environment, like not necessarily being a project manager, but you are tightly associated to a project. in your past experience, and you know all the at least the terminologies, like what do you mean by racing metric, what do you mean by stakeholder engagement, what do you mean by risk management. If you know all this, you have heard this and you have been there, then I would say self preparation is good. Okay, you no need to rely on a hefty pay fee institute to prepare you for this exam. But you have an experience, but you don't have an extensive knowledge about the in the environment, the work environment, and you don't have a practical knowledge, then I would recommend you sit for a formal training institute to learn the concepts, because the exam is not going to ask you the concepts. That's very important. Okay, the exam is going to ask you how do you apply the concepts. It's basically they'll check as a project manager, how do you decide on a situation based on the project management knowledge, right? That is what the exam, the entire 180 exam or 180 question is going to be that. Okay, they are not going to ask you what does RACI stands for. No, right? They are going to ask, there is a situation happening. Okay, and say they might ask you questions like this. There is a project management that there's a project that you're handling, wherein there is an unknown risk, and which you know that the money is going to be involved, and you need to take some funds. So, as a project manager, what should you do first, right? Do you have to create a change fund request, or there are multiple options. So basically, they're trying to ask you the situation as a project manager, how you act on that situation. So knowing the concept is very important, and the applicability of that concept is important. So it's basically the mix. So I would suggest, if you have a project management environment experience, you have been there, then you can do a self prep. If you have not been there, then I would say you go for a formal education, enrolling to an institute with hearing it from an instructor. When you're hearing it from an instructor, the instructor will share a lot of experience, like how these concepts will apply in the real world. He will run you through a lot of mock sessions. So that will help you to, prepare that exam. Okay, at least you get the mindset, okay, this is what I'm going to expect in the exam types.
Okay.
I'll just add something
Yeah,
quickly. So there's two
yeah,
PIM.
sure,
There's
sure.
several versions of PIMBOK, right? PIMBOK 6 is about the techniques. The later versions of PIMBOK is moving towards the people and process aspect of project management. So the practice and the profession itself is moving towards the psychological aspect of teams. So the test is also moving in that direction. So the test right now, like what Lak said, is less about the techniques and more about how you apply them. So it's tricky in that sense. And a lot of people say and describe it in this way, right? So there's four, it's multiple choice, 180 multiple choice questions, four answers, four possible answers. Out of those four, there's three that are correct, three possible correct answers. But there's one that's most correct. So that's the tricky part of the exam. You need to know which one's the most correct. And even if you pick the correct answer, you won't get any points for it. So that's the thing where it helps to have a community around you, especially if you're, a little bit younger, a younger project manager, still building the familiarity with all of it. It would be good to have some people who are studying with you, just so you have someone to bounce off ideas with as to what's the most correct answer. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Jan.
Okay.
Thank you so much for adding that
I'm
point.
I'm about to ask Jan like how the exams will be taken since it was a situational one, whether we have to give an answer in a brief or should it be optional? And you just already cleared that it will be optional question. So we have to just think the possible answer out of five which was given already. Thank you, Jan, for that. And I have some more doubts. Like you said that we have to show that we have a 15 hours of like experience when we get enrolled.
Yeah,
So
36
the
months, which is 3 years. 36 months, which is 3 years of experience.
experience, and you have mentioned that we should have, along with the SOP, we have to
35,
show that.
35 hours of training, formal training that you have taken on project management. So that's also one
Okay,
of the requirement.
So these formal trainings, like I'm pursuing a project management course with UCW. Can I show that as a experience
Yes,
for that?
yes, it does.
And
It does. Yes, it
and
does.
how much
So
one
whatever the
course takes?
Yeah, so whatever the course that we are taking in the project management at UCW, even that qualifies for the training. That can be showed. There are a few students that I know at UCW they have showed, especially there's a elective that they take on PMP, project management professional. There's an elective, and that elective is meant to do this. So if you are choosing that elective, you can use that elective as a formal training of 35 hours. And also, what I heard from the students is the entire 12 weeks they are doing only that, like they're prepping the quiz and all that. So if you wanted to use UCW electives as one of the criteria of this, you can definitely use it. For that, you have to choose the elective PMP. There's an elective called PMP in advanced project management stream. So you have to choose that and you should be good. Or, as I said, you have recorded videos online that you can go through. That is also 35 hours of training. Once you complete the training, there are assessments that you have to take, and then that will give you a completion certification. Or you can go for, the third party,
Okay.
training institutes. Yeah. So this decision will be taken based on your experience, right? Like if, say, example, I have worked in project management, but I don't have much concept understanding, then I will go for instructor-led teaching. Okay, I will not go for, see, either I can go for PMP. What I understood from PMP UCW is they're doing more of a quiz. That is one option that you have. You can still try that. If you still not gain confidence sitting in that, I would say go for institutes which really teach you the scenarios, like what Jan mentioned. The question is all about, as a project manager, what you're going to select, right? As a first step. So the person who's teaching you has to throw you a lot of scenarios. Like what this scenario, what do you do? Right? So that kind of a training you need to get into if you're not having the project management experience.
I got it. Like, you do have any additional tips that for us to crack the exam more easier, apart from going for the institution and getting trained? Or you did you follow any
Nothing
specific
comes
trick
easy.
or something?
Nothing comes easy, guys. Nothing comes easy. Okay. See, one thing would have been easier for me and Jan is like we have been in the industry for 10 years and I chose to do a PMP after 10 years. So I know a lot of things when the exam is already there. That's when we managed to crack it. But having said that, that's not a way to do it. That's a pro way of doing it. Like you get super experience and then go for an exam, you find it a little easy. For that matter, also, even I find it a little confusing at times, but I managed to clear the exam. What I'm saying is, for new people, it's going to be definitely, preparation is very important, and there's no easy route. There's only you have to put in, you have to set to a shirt to get the certificate. There's no other easy go. But what I would say, go for instructor led. If you ask my personal choice, I'll go for instructor led. Choose the right instructor who's teaching you with the examples. So that will help me build the confidence on me, right? That's one. And the second one I will definitely suggest is there's something called PMI study hall, okay, which PMI offers, okay, to prep you for the exam. That is, without that, don't go to the exam, right? I would say, because even though with 10 years of experience, PMI study hall helped me, okay, because it mirror the exact exam that you're going to see on your real exam day, right? And that is very important, right? That is very, very important. So, and it's very close because they use the same question bank which they use it for their real exam. So even when I was taking the exam, at times I felt, am I taking the same mock exam or I'm taking the real exam? Because there are a lot of questions I found the similar pattern and thing. So the tip that you asked me is, I would say, even though you take the formal training or whatnot you're doing, PMI study hall is the icing on the cake. Without that mock sessions and preparation, don't even think of sitting on the exam, because this is going to cost you money for sure. It's about $70 or $80 if I'm not wrong, for 3 months subscription. Go for the plus one, which has 5 mocks and a lot of small mocks, and it will help you to prepare the time. Prepare you for the better for the exam. That's for sure.
So what is your
Yeah, Jan, you
advice
want to
like?
add?
And Jen, you want to add something?
Yeah. Study
So we would
He
like to
just
know
he just agreed what I said.
what's the time requirement like we should have from the day of registration and to give the exam? Is there any time limit or like whenever we
Okay.
ready we can do it? How it works?
I would say if you're very serious about doing this exam, right after this call, subscribe the membership. Okay, and apply for the exam. You don't need to pay the fees when you're applying for the exam. Okay, so but you have to subscribe the membership, right? With the student discount, I think it's going to be even much more cheaper because I paid in INR, I paid only 3,000 rupees for the membership for an annual membership for a student membership, which is about somewhere $50 is what I pay. You get a lot of discounts when you're a student. You have to give your student ID and stuff. Right after this call, if you're very determined to do a project management, take the membership, pay a membership, and if possible, by this weekend, apply for it also. Let the application get applied because it takes about a month or so. It depends on the volume, the region that you're applying. So it takes a month to get the application done, right? Once the application done, you have to book an exam. That's when you have to pay for the PMP exam, right? Now, that is something that you can decide. Now, I'll tell you the advantage of doing this, right? The minute you take the membership, you are part of the PMI community. Now, there are so much things that is happening. There is something called vibe, right? Um, when we go to the class, when you sit in the library, we get the tendency to study. The same thing, the minute you join the PMI community, you get that additional, that boost. I don't know. It felt for me. I'm sure it will feel for you guys. You join the community, you get the inspiration, and you get what the PMI community is doing. Because when now you become a member, they start sending a newsletter and so many things. It helps you to motivate you to take the exam, right? So that's what I would recommend. Now, coming to the preparation is again it depends on individual to individual. I took only 2 weeks preparation, to be very honest. I only sat for 2 weeks, and I diligently prepared for 4 hours every day, morning 2 hours and evening 2 hours. And what I was doing, the first couple of days I was going through a book which is called I don't go through PMBOK. Okay, if you're going to go through PMBOK, that's going to be a nightmare for this exam, I'm telling you, because your brain will get exhausted. So PMP exam is like there is a smart way of cracking that exam, right? There are authors who write books how to crack PMP exam. There are few. I have few PDF copies which I can share it to you guys. I think I have shared with Tarun in the past. There's an author named Rita Mulkhe. There's an author named Andy. So that the books was really good. So you need to read that book. Okay, if you read that book, it's roughly about 300 pages book, but that is not the PMBOK, but it will tell you how the concept will be decoded when you sit for the exam. So that is very important, right? I would say read that book for the first week, maybe 1 week, take it for read the book. It's a 300-page book. And then the next week, sit for the training, right? That's 1 week of training. So we are talking about 2 weeks now. Now, another 2 weeks, only do the mocks. Okay. And then you should be good to appear for the exam. So we are talking about roughly 4 weeks of preparation, not more than that. If you're preparing more than 4 weeks, then I don't think so. That's going to be resulting anything. But the 4 week, sorry, the 4 weeks that I'm mentioning, you have to, you should not give excuses. You should spend at least 4 hours a day and make sure you're preparing.
Wow, that's really helpful and it's motivating. Like we will do it by today for sure, so that we can wait for our registration to get enrolled and we can start the process. And apart from this, some people are having some questions like uh, they already having electives, two electives like advanced PM and agile. So they're asking if I want to go in a healthcare industry, which would be better? Which elective should I go for? That's their question.
Okay, so I want you to understand this is not related to PMP exam, but I can still answer. There are two aspects that you guys have to understand, right? One is the craft. So what PMP exam does is it'll prepare you as a project manager. That's a craft. Okay. So people say I am a marketing specialist, right? Marketing specialist is a craft, right? Being a marketer is a craft. Being a project manager is a craft, right? And then comes the industry. Now the project manager fortunately is a generalist, right? They are jack of all trades. They're master of, okay. That means they can work in any domain, right? I worked, take my example. I have worked in the last 10 years. I worked with for a tech company. I worked for logistic and supply chain company as a project manager. I worked for an IT firm building banking products. So that's a beauty of it, right? So what you guys have to, at this point in time, strengthen your knowledge on the craft side of things. How risk is managed in a project, right? How is the capacity management done in a project, right? Irrespective of whether you're doing it for industry or you're doing it for a hospital, doesn't matter, right? You have to first excel this part, the craft part, right? As a project manager. Once you excel that, then applying it to an industry, that's the second part, right? Which is you can choose your domain, right? Say hospitality is your domain or hospital management is your domain. Now, how to apply this concept into the hospital management? You need to know the domain, right? Now, what my advice would be, the electives which UCW has will only prepare you for the craft. They will never prepare you for the industry. Okay. The industry comes with the experience with the opportunity, right? The maybe when you trying to join a project manager in any industry, you might like it and you will continue in that industry forever, right? Or you might switch to a different industry. But as a project manager, do not fix your domain. Okay. I would say try to be open. Today, if you ask me, I have spent a lot of time on building softwares. Say tomorrow, if a college asks me and come and join as a program manager to build a project for them, I will be happy to explore, right? And that's the beauty of the project managers, right? So make sure having us one domain is good, but I want you guys to make your mental preparation. Okay, I am being a project manager. I can build a hospital, or I can run a hospital, or I can, bring in initiatives of how to, expand the network. It could be any project that you can work for, is what I would suggest. But yeah, answering your long story short, the UCW's electives prepare you for a craft. They don't prepare you for the
Okay.
industry.
I think Taranpreet has some
Yeah,
questions, I
Taran, you have a
believe.
question?
No, not a question, just to add more into it. So yesterday, so there was a session arranged by PMP, and there was a senior project manager from PHSA. And yeah, so she clearly mentioned that they are looking for the people who have like worked in waterfall as well as agile. So for like PHSA in the healthcare industry, so they are looking for people who have like experience in both, like hybrid kind of experience. So yeah, to answer this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's again a craft. Okay, what he's saying is again a craft.
Hmm.
So waterfall, agile, all is a craft again, falls under
Okay.
craft. But when industry is hiring, say if somebody is hiring for PHSA, which is a healthcare industry, they look for somebody who's worked in that industry from the past experience. The reason being is that easy to train material. The only reason they look for is the easy to train material. Now, I have worked in IT software industry. Can I play that role? Yes, definitely I can play the role if I'm very strong at my craft. But what I need to do there is I need to show them the transferable skills, how I can quickly learn and adapt to the domain, what they're looking, right? But they asking for healthcare industry domain experience is good to have, not must have, in my opinion, as a project manager.
Yes, Sabarjit, she's having a question like the UCW
Yes.
project management mandatory and elective course in MBA are enough for self preparation for CAMP or PMP, or else after successfully completing the course, should we still need to enroll in an institution? They're asking.
Okay, I think we partially answered this question.
Mm.
I don't know if Subhajit already dropped off. If she's still there, she can rephrase it. Subhajit, if you want to rephrase this question, most of them at least dropped off. Okay. Uh, I can, what I understand is UCW project management mandatory. Yeah, the mandate course is mandate, guys. Okay, that you have to do. In comes to elective course, there are a couple of courses, right? I think there are three courses. They have Agile, they have Advanced Project Management, they have PMP, right? But if you want to appear for the PMP exam, then you should choose the PMP elective. I think that is meant to train you for that exam, and that is the expectation of PMI also. So if you are want to use your MBA course elective as a training, for this PMP exam, then it has to be PMP. No other electives that I can tell you. Apart from that, I have given you other options, recorded onlines and the institutes who train you. Plus, UCW also gives you training, in-class training. Okay, you can explore that. It is there in the micro credentials website. It is about 1,600 if I'm not wrong, the pricing. But yeah, it is worth. They put you 2 months classroom training. They will train you for the exam and they'll make you succeed in the exam. That's what it is. That is one of the options that you have. Definitely, you can explore. For CAPM, it's different, guys. For CAPM, you don't need an experience in project management. That's only difference. For CAPM, you have to just do the training. Rest everything is same. You don't need to have an experience in the project management environment. But only PMP, you need 3 years of project management experience. Now, anybody who doesn't have any idea about project management and they wanted to start, it's advisable to go for CAPM and start small into the industry as a project coordinator. So because project coordinator is a very entry level job for in project management domain, guys. Okay, there are so many hierarchies in project management, but project coordinators are the very entry level job. In case if you wanted to start in an entry level job, you are a fresher or you worked as a marketer all this while, you never been a part of project management, you want to switch to project management domain, then you should start as a CAPM, because CAPM will give you an entry into a project coordinator role. You can be there for a year or 2 or 3. And since you already have a marketing experience, you don't need to wait for 3 years experience. Okay, you just can be there for a year. Since you have a marketing experience in this example, you can combine that and write a SOP as if you have already a 3 years of experience. Then you can apply for PMP within a year, and then you can journey starts getting promoted as a project manager and go on from there, right? That's what I would recommend. Hope I have answered all of your questions, and pretty much the other questions already covered. Yes, Simon, I have a question.
Okay, thank you. I have a more than 10 years legal experience. I'm wondering if there is a field that in project management that I can merge into. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, if I understand your question, you're saying you have a 10 years of experience, right?
In legal sector.
Okay, in legal is saying.
Yeah.
So how do you transition yourself into project management? Okay, that's a very good question.
Yeah,
Now,
that's right.
you remember I talked about 2 areas, right? One is the craft, one is the domain. So you already have a domain expertise. Okay, I look at you as you're a domain expert in legal, right? Now, the other area that you need to look at is your craft, right? You need to build your project management craft. Now, a certification like PMP can help you build that craft on the project management, plus rigorous trainings on project management material and being a part of PMI community, right? Now, once you gain that craft badge, now you have to put this two in together and look for an industry who's hiring this talent, right? If you ask me, there are so many companies like KPMG, and PwC, if I'm not wrong, they are into all legal and compliances. So they run projects for legal and compliances for bigger corporations. Okay, so you can be a project manager. You can envision yourself as a project manager for handling such projects, right? Where companies are, doing a legal and compliance for, take my company. My company is into banking software technology. We have a compliance team. Okay, and that they have a project managers. Okay, you should be focusing on them. What is legally true, what is not legally right, the law of the land, everything that that's a domain, right? Now you know the project manager, and you being a project manager, now you can drive the projects of that industry, right? So there's so many industries highest you are in demand actually. And ask me, you have a niche demand, and if you add your craft to your domain expertise, I'm sure you will have a lot of opportunities. Simon, I don't know if you're LinkedIn connected to me. You can send me a friend request. I can send you a couple of JDs, and companies who are hiring such roles will give you some perception about how you need to prepare yourself.
Wow, that would be helpful. We already connected on LinkedIn.
Yeah, you send me. Just remind me. I'll send you. I'll share you a couple of JDs.
Yeah,
aligning with you.
Thank you.
And I think Karan has something.
Yeah. So, Lakshman, so PMBOK doesn't have anything related to Agile, okay? And it's like
I think the latest
traditional,
version has Taran. The
okay.
latest version they have added a supplementary book. What I remember,
Hmm.
there's a separate supplementary book they've added for Agile, but the latest publication has incorporated both actually.
Okay. And in exam, like how much like percentage it's contributing the Agile,
I would
any
say 60-70% is Agile.
60, 70% is
Because
Agile.
and the entire
Okay.
yeah, the entire world is moving under agile, so which is in a good in a way.
Hmm.
In the exam, out of 180 questions, I can definitely bet you 60 to 70 good percentage is from agile, and the rest
Okay.
30-40% we are talking about other methodologies like waterfall, iterative, and whatnot,
Mhm.
hybrid
Sure.
and all that.
Thank you.
Yeah, Angela.
Eh, Angela,
Angela,
you
you're
can
on
go ahead
mute
with your
if you're
question.
yeah, I think she's on mute. Yeah. Uh, we can't hear you, Angela. I'm sorry for some reason. You want to check your microphone once again? Uh, while we talk to Aishwarya, meanwhile, Aishwarya, you want to go with your question?
Yeah. Hi. Thank you so much, Lakshman and Kaushalya, for taking the initiative and, connecting everybody who are, I feel, looking for the same roles in project management. So my question, I have few questions. So firstly, I have experience working in aviation sector. However, my role was not typically as a project manager or a project coordinator. However, I was part of different projects in which I was helping them streamline the whole process, making sure that, we cut cost and then we are operation wise we are good to go. So now that I am planning to get my PMP certification done within few months, I'm planning to do that. But whenever I'm searching for jobs, ideally I'm looking for entry level, because given that I don't have any Canadian experience. However, even for project coordinator or scheduler, the company requirement or the JDs that they post, it asks specifically for 3 to 4 years experience in the same field. So if you're looking for healthcare, they'll ask for healthcare field. If they're look you're like if you search for IT, they're looking for IT in the same field as a project coordinator. So somebody who is starting out their role as in project management in Canada. So what would your suggestions be? Like what kind of job roles we should go for, and how can we tackle this situation that we are facing?
That's a great question. I think I can resonate myself with you as an example, right? I'll tell you a couple of things. I'll decode how industry look at hiring, okay, for project managers, right? Um, the very first thing that you guys want to understand on a hiring perspective is if even if an entry role as a coordinator, they're asking for 3 or 4 years of experience, is because they want to save on training cost. Okay, they don't have time to train as a blogger, right? If they're hiring somebody who doesn't have any experience or relevant experience on the project coordinating role, there are a lot of involvement of training is there. Hence, the smaller companies don't prefer hiring somebody who's a fresh start. Rather, they look for at least minimum 1 year of experience and plus. Right, depends on the criticality of the role and the plug and play device. Right, that's what they look at the resources. But if you ask me, is nobody hiring? Yes, there are people hiring who has a good education, who has a good training setup in their company, right? They can put somebody on 3 months training and they can train them and stuff, and definitely they can hire such resources. There are so many companies out there who hires, okay? Um, but in your case, Aishwarya, I would recommend this. It happened with me. It is so easy to transition into a project management role when you're already in a company. Okay, than trying as a project manager because you never had a project management experience in the past and you're trying getting into the project management market, then it is a bit tough. I'm not saying it's impossible, it's a bit tough because in a hiring perspective, I prefer hiring somebody who has a 1 year experience than I value Aishwarya's 10 years aviation industry experience. But having said that, I would look for somebody who has a 1 year craft with 3 years of aviation experience, right? So that is the hiring mentality, right? So what I would recommend is, if you get a role, whatever you were playing in the past in the aviation industry, right? While you're trying for project
Mhm.
management, apply for the other role. Say, example, you worked as a, just an example, okay? You worked as a, say, a aviation instrumentation engineer, okay, in your back home, and you apply for similar role here as well, right? That is will get you to the market faster, right? Once you get into the market, right? Like once you join an aviation company, whatever role that you join, you always look for how you can transition yourself into lateral into project management of that aviation industry. That is the best way to do it, right?
Okay.
For the people who, like you, who doesn't have an experience in project management, but you have an experience in something else, but that is something which project management doesn't look for when they're hiring for an industry, right? In your case is a very niche case, and I would say you should be targeting getting into the industry first with whatever role that you get, that based on your past experience. The minute you enter, you will network since you're already in that company. Say, example, you joined Air Canada, and Air Canada has a
Mhm.
project management team. Okay, you have to look for that project management team who's in Air Canada. It's much more easy for you to now network because you both are have a common Air Canada employable, network, and you never know, you might meet them in the same office because they just sit next to your desk. You never know. You can coffee chat, you can network, and express your interest of being a part of their team while you're doing that role, and you prepare meanwhile your certification and everything, and then the transition eventually happened. It happened with me. I was an operation professional, IT operation professional, right? I used to handle help desk and IT related operations. Then when I got the interest of a project management, it's my same company who bet on me and gave me that opportunity, right? And it was a lateral entry. I did not start as a project coordinator because I was at a manager ranking and operation. When I want to get into project management, they gave me a project manager directly. That's because the company whom you're working have know your skills. Then it is all matter of whether this person can play that role, right? Your company,
Okay.
since you have already proven a role there, they will bet on you than anybody else in the market. So I would
Mhm.
say, you try for instead of you going down say you're already a manager and you wanted to try project coordinator just because you think that project coordinator is a different role and you wanted to start from the scratch. That's not a good idea. I would say, if I were you, I will try the same thing getting into the industry. Once I get the industry, then I'll start pursuing my project management in that department, and I will catch hold of anybody who's in project management, and they're going to be my best mentor, a friend who will take me into their team. That's how I should approach.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I'll try doing it like this way because I've been trying to look for the coordinator's role. But yeah, this makes sense. So let me try that one. Thank you so much for the
Yes,
insights.
that's how I got into project management. Yeah. Yes, Angela. No, Angela, I think you can talk now. Yeah. Oh, unfortunately, we don't hear you now. Also, so you're using your hands-free. In that case, you can disconnect hands-free and see if your laptop mics or phone works directly, or you can put your question on the
Yes,
chat. We can read it and
she
answer.
says she will type here.
Okay, yeah, that would be great. Okay, while she's typing, anyone has any other question? I see Monica, Atif is here. Hola. Any other questions?
Okay. Before that, while we talking, you said if you are new to the project management, so you suggested that before going for a PMP, you told to take an CAMP. Could you say some elaboration regarding what is CAMP? Like people who's like me,
Yeah.
we are new to the
So
project management.
yeah, so I would say, if you have already have a 3+ years of experience already, okay, and you have not worked as a project manager, but you have been associated with the project team. Say example, I've been a marketing guy for say 5 years experience, but I always worked with project team as a stakeholder. Okay, stakeholder, there's a project team works with me. I know how they work, their operations, all that. Then I should apply for PMP. I should not work for Capcom. Understood? That's the criteria. Now, I have a 5 years experience in marketing, but within marketing, We don't realize there is a project management happening. A lot of people find difficulty to figure out which is operation, which is project management. Okay, project management and operations are a lot of overlapping in terms of the way they operate and responsibility. So you might think a marketing role that you played is an operation role. No, it might be a project management role. I'll tell you an example. You being a marketing guy, okay, your company have participated in an exhibition, okay, which is where like a conclave happened for all the tech industry, and you been as a marketing guy, you did the planning, you did the entire execution of the event, and you completed the event. That means you have done a project. Okay. So every project has a start and end date, which has a niche goal to achieve. I'm sure you can think in your role, if you would have done that in the past without you knowing it, that's a project that you're doing, then you should, and plus 3 years of experience, then you should apply for PMP. CAPM is not at all in your bucket. Okay. You should directly apply for PMP, but that is going to be a little long jump. You need to prepare a lot. Okay. Because the PMP bar is high, right? Now, if you are feeling like, you know what, Laksh, I worked in a company, but I don't think anything related to project that I've done it in the past. I can't resonate myself as a being a part of a project or work with the project team. Then go for CAPM irrespective of your experience. Anyway, CAPM doesn't need an experience, but even if you have 5 years of experience, but you can't build a use case for your scenario, that I don't resonate myself with working with any project, being part of a project or interacting with the project, then you should do a CAPM because you have no idea how project management works, right? Uh, but what I realize in my experience, whomever I mentored in the past, a lot of people doesn't know that they have done project, but they are doing projects. Okay, just because their role doesn't say that. Like one example I told you, like I have a lot of marketing guys in my company. They do a lot of events. What they're doing is a project. Okay, take NSO, take our university. The student life folks, they think the student life is an operation, but they conduct NSO, right? The NSO is a project, right?
Okay.
If you guys really see that, right? It has a planning. It goes through all the 5 cycle, right? It is an initiation, it has a planning, it has an execution, it has a monitoring and control, and it has a closing. If any activity you have performed on this without you knowing it's a project, then you can directly go for a PMP with 3 years of experience. Is what I would suggest.
Okay. Okay. So Angela has says that wanted you to elaborate more on the course one can take in UCW for PMP training.
Okay, so as I said, there are two things there, Angela. One is there is an elective called PMP in the project management stream. You can take that. That will qualify you for the 35 hours of training which is required to appear for PMP. And in that course also, they were teaching only the mocks, is what the student. I have not taken the course, but people who have taken the course, I have asked their experience. They were saying they literally prepare them for the PMP mock. They only take quiz throughout the 12 weeks to prep them, right? So that is one option that you have. The other option is UCW has a micro credential department, and the department is offering a 2 months program for a PMP, which is an in-person classroom training, which is roughly about 1700, if I'm not wrong. So if you think it's again, all these options depends on you, like how much you know project. You have to self-assess yourself. How much I know about project management, how much training I need. Accordingly, you can choose. So these are the two options that UCW offers. The second micro credential option I said, it's a separate course altogether. It has nothing to do with your subject. It's a separate micro credential course. They have in classroom training and all that. So there is a website that you guys go and check. I'll share it here, or you can Google it. Just type UCW micro credential. You will end up on that page. You can go through. They have given all the information about how the entire stuff works. Okay, Angela, if that helps, I'm sharing the link here for you to access. So if you go to project management segment, yeah, they have the entire micro credential information. Okay. Now Victor is asking, how can I register for the PMP exam as a student with UCW to take advantage of student discounts? Yes. So there is a student discount for membership, not for the exam, if I'm not wrong. I mean, Jan is not here because when I took the membership, there is definitely a discount. You know, for that you just have to provide your school information while you're enrolling. I would definitely say that's what I was saying. Uh, you guys have to enroll for PMI member right after this call. Trust me on that. If it's $50, it's worth investing on that because that is where your journey starts when you're very sure about you want to do project management, right? Maybe even if you're not sure about doing project management right after the university, like in Aishwarya's case, she might wanted to do it in a year or two from now. That is also something that you will do it right away. You'll start investing it right away, right? So that is one advantage of being a student. You will get discount on exam. I'm not sure you will get a discount. Only for this you will get. Once you become a PMI member and you choose a Canadian West Coast chapter, all the events happening with this chapter, you will get discounts. Okay. Say example, a normal entry is $30. If you're a student, you will get it for $15 for the same event. So that is something you will get as a perk that I know. But for exam, I don't think so. There is no discount on the exam. Only on the membership and the events you will get discounts, Victor.
It's the original exam cost is I think around $520, but if you are a member, it will come down to 425.
That is for everybody, every
Mm.
member, not the student member. Any
Yeah.
member, that cost will come down. So you have to become a member to appear for the exam for sure. So ends up not even talking about that option. I don't see a merit of anybody taking an exam without being a member because the certificate. Okay, I want you guys to understand this. PMP exam certification is not a one-time activity, right? It's like buying an Apple phone, right? You subscribe for that product. You have to keep, upgrading yourself. The same thing with PMP. Once you get the certification, there are 3 years validity. You have to attend these workshops, events with PMI for you to keep your certification alive, or else it will expire. Okay. So it is like a subscription that you're doing. So your membership is mandate. You have to take a membership before you appear. And what Taran mentioned is the right information, but that's applicable for all student and anybody who's applying for I get the membership discount. Okay. But what Victor is exclusively asking for students. So students get discounts only on membership cost and the event until you're a student. All the events you'll get a entry ticket discount.
So we should enroll as a, student member instead of PMI member, right?
Yeah, that's an option. They'll ask you whether you're a student while you're
Okay.
enrolling. Yeah, I don't recollect the exact option, but yeah, there is the flow says that you're a student member and then it allows you to choose. And please make sure you guys choose the Canadian West Coast chapter. It'll ask you which chapter you have to be associated. It's called CWCC, if I'm not wrong, Canadian West Coast chapter.
Yes.
Make sure you enroll for that.
Okay.
Yeah, Dhanush.
Yeah, thank you, Kaushal and Lakshman, for arranging this. I just had one quick clarification. Like you have covered like most resources and materials that is available for study, but I wanted to know in particular for you which was most important or useful for you,
Okay,
so that probably I can
good
resonate
question.
with it. Probably, yeah.
I have written a LinkedIn blog about it. I mean, as a post, I can share that link with you guys. You can go
Perfect.
through how I prepared my strategy, how I prepared for the exam. But I can tell
Got
you,
it.
interest of everybody's, here.
Got it.
So I use Rita Mulke. That's a book I read. That's the PMP prep book. I can share the PDF copy to Kaushalya or in the group. You can make use of it. See, it's a PDF copy is not what we're supposed to use. It's a pirated copy, so I don't want to put it on
Right.
public. So people who wanted to approach me, I can share them. I have the PDF copy of that book. That is the book I read. Then, as I said, I took an institute called Star Agile, that is back in India. They also offer courses at a very cheaper price, about 7,000 or 8,000 bucks I paid for 2 months training. Why it is 2 months is because it's only on weekends. If I take a weekdays training, then it's going to be very fast tracking. Like within 2 weeks, they'll complete it. Not 2 months, sorry, it's 1 month. It's 8 classes, four weeks. I have taken the classes. So these two I did parallelly. Okay, I just read the book, I did the session, but then my actual preparation happened 2 weeks. So where I sat and I started doing mocks, right, for 2 weeks. So for that I used One, the Star Agile, the institute that I've taken classes, they gave me certain mocks. But more than what they gave me as a practice mocks, I found the PMI study hall is more relevant. So I subscribed for PMI study hall. I took in mocks from there. So I would say I would definitely recommend PMI study hall. Don't take mocks, any other mocks. So take PMI study hall mock. If you can get there 80%, I'm sure you're going to score above target in your all your three processes for sure. And as I said, the last 2 weeks of my preparation before the exam, every day 4 hours, morning 2 hours, evening 2 hours. One thing I want to tell you, when you take for an exam or when you're practicing, your brain will get into a fatigue, okay, of a question, because reading 60 questions in an time frame is not easy, right? They will give you a break for every 60 questions for 5 minutes. It's a 4 hour long exam, right? And they give you 70, 75 minutes for 60 questions. So roughly about 1 minute, 10 seconds you get for each question to answer, right? Now, where you need more practice is looking at the question in a stretch. Do not take 10 question and go check your Insta reels. Then I'm sure you will get a brain drain, okay, on the exam day. So if you sit for a mock, when I used to sit for a mock, if there are different mocks they give you, okay, they give you a full length mock, which is 180, exactly like exam. They will give you 4 hours. I've taken mocks in the last 2 days, okay, to prepare my brain to keep looking at 180 question, right? It's not easy. Your brain will go at times you read the question, you don't even understand what it is, right? So that because your brain is not reading it, right? There are tools how you can use that. I'll explain you. But while preparing, Dhanush, you need to make sure when you do 1 hour mock, which is 60 question, keep all your phones away, everything away. You're literally taking an exam, okay? And practice your brain. That is very, 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 very important, guys. If you're not doing that, a lot of
ஹலோ
people, you
அப்பா
know,
வாங்கப்பா
find a
மீட்டிங்ல இருக்கேன்
problem
வாங்க.
with that. Kaushilya, you're not in mode. Yeah. Okay. So make sure that you guys are doing that. That's very important, in my opinion. Okay, these are the preparation strategy I did. I did a lot
Got
of
it, got
mocks
it,
with PMI study hall. Yeah.
got it. Makes sense. And I had just one last question for you. Like you have completed your PMP certification. Now, what progression do you see after that? Like, do you want to do your risk management or maybe get into agile certification, or how is it? Is there a progression from there? Like, because
So yeah,
yeah,
that's again a good question. So what I would recommend is first get into PMP certification first. Once you get a PMP
got it.
certification, the role that you got as a project manager, right? You don't know where you will end up landing, right? Like say
Yeah,
example, you end up landing into a risk team as a project management. Your job is to manage the risk. Then
risk.
you
Yeah,
will decide of doing, PMP ACP or PMP
right.
risk management pro
RMP,
certification, RMP. Sorry, RMP. ACP is for agile. RMP
right.
is when you spend that time. So that your work will decide, in my opinion. So PMP is like getting an MBBS, right? Like it's a general.
Got it.
Whether you want to study pediatrics after that, or that's something your job will decide. Okay, so leave that to job. Don't take the call now. Okay, at this point in time, I still have to crack the Canadian job market.
Yeah,
So I don't
and
have any idea to do any other certification apart from the general PMP that I've done.
yeah,
Yes, I will definitely do it. Say if I become a Scrum Master in a
right.
IT firm, I will definitely do ACP. Okay, but not immediately after 6 months or 1 year spending there, right?
Got it.
So that's what you should also guys consider doing it.
Got it. Thank you, thank
Yeah,
you.
but that's a good point, Dhanush. Keep learning, guys. Be a life learner. That's the only way to grow.
Thanks, Luck.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
So, Victor, I have given my email address. Anybody who wants materials, whatever I use for my preparation, I can share it with you guys. I've given my email address. Just send me a request. I will share the materials with you guys. Okay. If anybody don't have any questions, interest of time, it's already more than an hour. I just wanted to give you the last tip of while you're taking exam, what all you have to keep in mind, and the same thing mimic when you're doing a practice. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what are the important tools which helped me while I'm taking exam. There are two important tools which helps me. Okay, one is the highlighter. Okay, they will give you an option called highlighter. Okay, you can highlight the question when you're reading it. Okay, which is definitely going to help you. Okay, What that means is when you're reading a question, make sure the keywords are very important. Okay. What is your first step as a project manager? First step is a keyword. So all the four answers are right. Now they are asking you, what is the first step that you do as a project manager, right? So when you're reading a question, use the highlighter and highlight the keywords. Don't do it on the exam. Practice when you're doing practicing. It's very important. When you take your practice very seriously, that's the way to clear the exam. You have to think that you are in a PMP exam. Even send all your roommates outside, lock the room, lock your room yourself, and do literally the exam. And use a highlighter to highlight. That's a very important tool that helped me. The second important tool is there are times you're very sure about the answer, but I would say with my 10 years of experience, it's only 15 to 20% of questions you're very sure about the answer. While reading the question, out of four options, you know this is the answer, which is only 10 or 15% or 20% max. 80% of times, there are always like two or three answers look similar, and you're confused which one to select. In that case, there is something called Striker. Okay, there's a tool called Striker in that exam tool. Okay, the same thing that you will find it on PMI study hall exam also, the mock exams also. You have to strike out. So when you're reading a question, the answer which is not correct, okay, then you have to strike out. Have you watched, if you guys are from India, Crorepati and all that, this game shows where they strike out, okay, take off two wrong answers first, 50 to 50, all that. So basically, you have to strike out the wrong answers first. Then you will end up with one or two which might be closely answered. Then you will end up choosing that, either one of this, right? So highlighter and striker, these two are the very important tool when you're taking exam. And don't do it on the exam day. You might not be able to do it effectively. Do it while you're practicing on PMI study hall, right? Use the tool when you're taking exam. So that becomes a practice, and the real exam, it really helps you. It helps you reduce your brain fatigue. Your brain gets fatigued, guys, because after 40th question, even if you read the question, you don't understand anything. Just because your brain is going tired of reading the question, right? So the highlighters will help you to reduce the stress for your brain. That's definitely a trick that helped me. Okay, there are a couple of questions here. Okay, Sarbajit says when we click on apply here in Project Manager Micro, it shows. Okay, you just have to go to Google and type UCW microcredential webpage. It actually goes there. But before applying, I think there is a department, Sarbajit. Go and check. There will be email or one-on-one booking session with them. Go meet them. They're sitting in the UCW office. So go meet them. They'll guide you. Get the information from them before go and apply. That's what I would recommend. Okay, but I can check why it is not working. I can check. Hope everybody is connected with me on LinkedIn. I can give my LinkedIn profile. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to post it. I can talk to you guys one-on-one. Okay, there's one last question from Victor. Just one last one, please. Yeah, before you go. Are any questions usually repeated in the exam from previous exam papers? Yes, they use a question bank. That's what the PMI study hall is at, right? Like Victor, I don't know when exactly you joined. So there is something called PMI study hall that you will use for your mocks practice, which is nothing but the question bank which PMI uses to test your knowledge. So when I was taking an exam, because I've practiced in PMI study hall, I kind of resonate at least one 10 to 15 question. Whatever was there in my mock was in the real exam. Okay, just the names were different. Say example, in the mock it called your name is Victor, you're a project manager. In the real exam it says you're Sam, you're a project manager. Only that's the change. Only the name, the company names are changed, but the question, the framework, the options are similar. At least one out of 180 questions, I would have felt 15 to 20 questions easily. Same questions, right? So yes, the PMS study hall, they use the same question bank, and there are chances you might get the same questions when you're practicing. But there's no guarantee, but yeah, you might get lucky. All right, so that brings us to the end of the session, and thank you so much. I think we overshot the time, but I think it's worth spending this time, I believe. I hope I made sense to you guys this last 1 hour. I shared my experience. If you have any specific case you guys really wanted to discuss with me, I will share my LinkedIn. You guys can connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions that you might have, the follow-up question. Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a
Thanks,
wonderful
Lex.
day ahead. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you for your time and the inputs. It's really
Can
helped
everybody
us a
come on the
lot.
camera? Yeah, we can take one final click. I'll keep it as a memory. Maybe it go as a LinkedIn post. So smile, guys. Yeah. Monica, Aishwarya, you want to consider coming on camera? We can take one click. And Angela, I can see Angela. Who else is on camera? Okay, I think Victor. Yeah, thank you, Angela. Thank you, everyone, for coming on camera. Say cheese. Thank you, guys. Thanks. Adip, I can see only your eyes, but it's good. You should move your phone away, dude. It's okay.
I'm on my mobile, not on laptop.
I know, I understand. That's really good. Okay, sorry, Kaushali, I was cutting you off. Yeah, that's all from my side, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Have a great
Thank
day.
you, everyone.
Thank
Take
you.
care,
Thank you,
guys.
Lex. Bye.
Good, Salih. Yeah, thank you.